Alright. We're good. Alright. Yeah. I thought I died too. Well, no, we're back at it apparently. You know, I thought I was never returning the draft because I had just started to hate it that much. But I think it was just a case of burnout because when I got off of draft, got off of Discord, and started doing other things for once with my life, um, I came back and I'm enjoying. I enjoy the drafting process a lot. I've been enjoying Showdown, like, so I think I'm being able to back to getting some enjoyment out of Mons, which is more than I can say before I stopped. Because before I stopped, I remember games were just so hard to do, and I was originally I wanted to tough it out and just finish my last leagues that I was in, and then call it quits. But I literally had to drop the leagues, and I don't like dropping leagues. I had never dropped leagues prior to that, but I had to drop because I just couldn't. I couldn't keep doing it. But we're back now. We're back with LPL, so we didn't actually miss the season of LPL. We are right back into it. We have been playing in LPL since Season 2 off-season, which was Marathon. Then we played in Season 3, we played in Season 4, and now we're playing here in Season 5. This is my first Scarlet and Violet draft as well, so of course that'll be very fun. And we do have like, I won't say how many, but we have new Mons on our team, so we don't want to be spoiled of new Mons. Maybe don't be watching content on Scarlet and Violet, but that's basically all there is now. So we are Foi Cocos Tacos. That is our team this time. Our team's consistently changing. I remember last season it was the Ball and Carkles, and last season we actually had a really good season. Yveltal hard carried me like all the way into playoffs. I was like number 4 or something like that. And then I made it to semis, but semis was around the time I quit draft, so I ended up having to drop the league mid-semis just because, like I said, I really couldn't be asked to play anymore. But that's kind of how our last season went. So let's talk about how this season went. So draft starts, order is revealed, and I was in call when they were doing the order, and I got 12th, which is really bad. I hate late picks and Ubers. I was always fine with late picks and standing, but in Ubers, late picks is so bad. Cause you just get to sit there and you get to watch all the good things go, and I hate doing that. But I had to. I sat there watching stuff like Koraidon, Miraidon, watching all that stuff just go. But eventually it does get me after a long time because it's LPL. If you guys know anything about LPL, we call it LJL because it is a major genre league. But at 12th pick, there wasn't much left. Don't even think that there was a really high tier Mon, Ultra Necrozma, but I cannot tell you guys how much that Mon sucks and how much I absolutely hate it. And one of my Mons, I'll talk more about my page for Ultra Necrozma on later. So I'm looking at the Mons. There's one Mon there, which I didn't want to get it because it's super boring. But it was just like at 12th pick, there wasn't many other options to get. If the draft board was so shallow at that point for Ubers, like the good Ubers, that I would just feel like I didn't know what to do because Arceus is banned, so it's like all the good Ubers went early and you kind of get stuck with worse Ubers later on. But I did still end up finding something really good and well. I didn't want to because it's boring. I grabbed it anyways. So starting off with our first pick here, we have big ol' Mewtwo. Our Mewtwo, which is going to be nicknamed Adachi. For nicknames for this, we'll be having a theme of Persona characters for this one. And you can see on the side their artwork, I've kind of added something to them to kind of fit the character they're named after. So for the Mewtwo, he's got cabbage on his head. If you've played the series, you know anything about the series, you'll know. But for pick 1, it's a really good Mon. Like, I don't know what else to really say. Mewtwo's really good, but it's boring. Like, it clicks buttons, it kills things, but it's not the funny click button. It's kind of just it can click any button it wants to and kill things. It's like it's boring. I don't know what to say about Mewtwo. It's just really boring. But I don't really know. I didn't know what else to pick. I didn't want somebody to get Mewtwo later than me, so I'm like, you know, I'm just gonna pick the Mewtwo right here. And even though it's boring, I'll make the rest of my team pretty fun and try to get a fun team to go around a very boring Mon. But it's got a great speed tier. Like, I feel like one of the best things is that it forces Koraidon and Miraidon to run speed boosting natures, which is really good because the damage they do is insane. So being able to slightly cut that down could be really crucial for us. And then especially if he's scared enough to force him into Scarf, which would be because if you force Koraidon and Miraidon into Scarf, they're no longer really threats. They lose so much power. So I feel like it's generally a good thing. But Mewtwo's it is really good. Like I said, boring, but really good Mon. Just the coverage is insane, the damage is insane, the speed is insane. Like, there really isn't much bad thing to say about Mewtwo. Even its bulk is honestly passable. And even though Recover got nerfed to this gen to only have 8 PP now, it's not like Mewtwo was ever clicking recover that many times unless it was running like sub combine sets, which even then I probably will refrain from trying to use those. But you probably won't see much originality with Mewtwo. It'll just be a mon that's just broken, and that'll be its whole thing being here. But it's good at doing that. So for pick 2, it gets back to being, originally I wanted to get Pheromosa because I was like, okay, it outspeeds the bikes, it fits with Mewtwo and everything because we pivot. But then there was the fact that something else meant to me, and I was thinking like, okay, if this makes me, I'm gonna grab it. It made it to me. And that's gonna be Mega Lucario. That's gonna be Akihiko or Mega Lucario. For Mega Lucario, it's a mon. It's actually, so going back to my Ultra Necrozma hatred story. I played in an Ubers League called BBL once. A lot of people who know anything about like Ubers Draft League probably know what BBL is. It's a really big draft league I played in once. It was horrible. I absolutely hated playing there because I feel like the big thing was that BBL is such a competitive league that it takes the fun out of the game because of how competitive it is. Like everybody's just trying to win. Nobody's ever caring about having fun. There's no fun teams. There's no fun sets. The entire league was just everybody was trying so hard to win. That just games weren't really very fun in that league. But another thing was that everything but Mega Ray and Zacian Crown was allowed. So I was dead last pick. So I had to sit there and watch things like RCS Normal, the Primals, Calyrex Shadow Rider. Just watch those stuff go. And when it gets to me, there's literally nothing left but Ultra Necro. And I tell you, I took Ultra Necro. It was so bad. And it's another reason to why I just hated my time there. It was so bad. And I think that league is one of my major contributors to my break that I took from draft afterwards. But Mega Lucario was one of the only monsters that I actually think I really enjoyed when I grabbed it. Like, it was just really good. It does damage. It's fun because you can mix it up really much. You can mix it up a lot. 145 attack, 140 special attack. Adaptability is of course just broken. Even like resisted hits do so much. Like this thing is just insane. It's got great revenging. Bullet Punch can be honestly really crucial in some games. Still got a great speed tier. It's just damage. Literally, it says damage part 2. Literally, Mewtwo is damage. This is the second damage. Because damage is funny. And I feel like Mega Lucario kind of helps make up for Mewtwo being so boring because Mega Lucario is really fun. So for pick 3, it got to this point where I kind of wanted to try out a new mon. So I'm looking at an Uber and I'm thinking, okay, realistically, the 4 people ahead of me should never pick the mon that I wanted because they already have its typings and they already have really good mons of its typings. It's still early in the draft. It's round 4 at that time. Well, it's round 3 to round 4. So okay, I could snag this mon because it could be really fun and it's a brand new Pokemon, so I want to give it a shot. And that's gonna be Shenpao. It's gonna be Koromaru or Shenpao, which it's a very funny mon. It's got that ability called Sword of Ruin, which if you don't know what Sword of Ruin does, it's basically, it lowers the defense stat of every single Pokemon, of every single one of your opponent's Pokemon. Which basically means that the very second you step in, their defense is lowered. It's not like Intimidate where it makes a direct stat drop. Because once you switch out, the ability does go away. But while Shenpao's in, things have lower defense, which is really good considering the fact that this thing has 120 attack. A lot of people probably know Weavile. Weavile was a very popular Pokemon like for so long. It got nerfed like crazy in Paldea decks because they got rid of knockoff on it and they got rid of most of its dark moves. But Shenpao is really good because it's better. It's Weavile, but it has an actual insane ability which makes its attack stat way higher than 120. It's got a better speed tier. It has Ice Spinner, which is of course just triple axle, but it doesn't miss, which is very fun. It's just a really good mon. I was very sad that it didn't get knockoff, because I feel like if this thing got knockoff, that'd be so good for me, but it is what it is. And overall, I feel like it's just a really good pickup. It's a new mon. I feel like it could be fun to try out. Dark and Ice, and it hits so incredibly hard. The revenging, all that stuff. And of course, its speed ties Miraidon and Koraidon, which is really, really good. So I'm forcing so much pressure onto those mons speed-wise, which their speed is one of the biggest reasons why they're so broken, because 135 is busted. So heading into my next pick, This is the one that I originally wanted to take with the Shanpao pick, but I was like, no, I can take Shanpao first, and then I can take this mon, because nobody from me should pick it. And nobody in front of me picked it, so went and grabbed it. That is Dragapult. It's going to be Ray, our Dragapult. And I know I haven't really been explaining many of the nicknames so far. I guess the one that I wasn't really self-explanatory was Mewtwo. Just because Mewtwo's kind of like a master of mind games. That's kind of the same way Adachi, the same role Adachi played in the games. We have Dragapult, we have Ray at Dragapult. Because a big thing about Dragapult is kids having like 3Ps that it shoots out. So kind of being like, basically Dragapult's children because they're the baby form of it. And then Ray being a child and also the ghost typing, because like pointing to the fact that she is also dead, which fits, so dead children, there we go, Dragapult. The reason why I wanted this thing was because it's really good in Ubers. It outspeeds the Mega Mewtwo, it outspeeds most of the Dragon types, it outspeeds the bikes, and it's just insane because of that. It can one-shot them, and of course this is no Terrapult because... Alright, so we're recording to stop midway through, but we're back, and I was in Dragapult. But I think I basically said all that I can say on Dragapult at this point, so we'll move on to the next pick. Which at this point, when it starts to get to me in the drafts, I know I need to get a good fairy before they start going. Because in Ubers, fairies start to go because of the sheer amount of dragons in the format. And once the fairies start to go, if you get stuck with some low tier fairy, you could get really screwed over. And I just feel like, especially I wanted a good cleric for this team because of course, a lot of the Pokemon I have in this team really don't get recovery, so I kind of wanted to have something to help that out a bit. So with that, I went ahead with my next pick, which is my Sylveon, which is Yukari, our Sylveon. Sylveon is Sylveon. I don't know what much else to say about this mon. It kind of just is there. It's bulky, not on a physical side, but on the special side, it's very bulky, which helps to do with a lot of the dragons in the format, especially because most of the dragons are special. But there is still, of course, all your physical dragons, which could be a big problem for this thing. But it's still really bulky. It's a good defensive backbone. It actually is a pivot with Baton Pass, which I know it doesn't run Baton Pass that often, but it is generally a good tool for it. It's just a good cleric support because Heal Bell exists, Wish exists, and those just help the team a lot, especially like with some of my later picks, and especially the next pick already can benefit a lot from Wish depending on its set, and even just in general because it's very bulky mon. But I feel like Sylveon was a really good pickup. It was my first non-Uber pickup, I believe, in this draft. So I had my top 4 picks were Ubers, which most people stopped at like 2 Ubers. Maybe got like a 3rd one at the very end of the draft. But me, no, I kept going. And you know, I kept that going with my next pick, which is another Uber. Pick 6. I saw another Uber on the board. I'm like, okay, this could be good because it's a dragon. It doesn't stack leads with Dragapult, which I felt was really good. Even though it gives me 2 unsteals, so steel types that don't resist fairy types and dragon types. I'm just gonna roll with it. So that you probably could argue that pick is Dialga. Dialga origin bad, Dialga good. We have Zen, our Dialga, which I actually decided to do like the nickname relationship between my 2 dragons. So we have my Dragapult as Ray, my Dialga as Zen. It's a very versatile mon. It's like I think it's one of the biggest things to say about Dialga. It's very versatile. It also has really high attack stat. When a lot of people run special on this thing, it's got a really high attack stat. So of course it's still good for running some like bulk up sets. It gets scale shot. It's still a 90 base speed. When I personally think it should be slower. But one thing special attacks on it in the laugh at. This thing does a lot of damage. And like I said, it's very good versatility. It gives me hazards. My first hazards in the team gives me rocks, which is really good. And I think just giving me that kind of bulky rocker is good because while it doesn't always want to be a rocker, when it can be a rocker, it can be efficient as such. So it's kind of spoken where its set can really differ a lot every single week, and I really like that about this mon. It's a very fun mon to contrast with my very boring Mewtwo pick that I first started off the draft with. So heading into my next pick, I'm trying to remember my 7th pick. God, what was my 7th pick? That's a good question. Let's find out right now. Alright, that is Moltres. That is a Yukiko, our Moltres. Now, this is the point where the team starts getting a little bit sketchier because a lot of transactions are made at this point. Because I had a whole draft plan made that I really liked, but then I realized, oh, I don't have any knockoff on this. So I kind of figured that I couldn't find much that I liked during the draft, so I figured, okay, let me draft a team that might be good. and then I'll fix what I want to with the draft. So this, and fix what I want to with Grace. So this was a Grace pickup. The most race. This is originally a Incineroar. It's usually Incineroar because I needed a knockoff user, so I got that. But I didn't want to stack too many dark types, especially two dark types that. Well, I just didn't want to stack the two dark types in general. I think it's one of my biggest things. Like I know Shenpal's not a very good dark type, but it's a passable dark. It's like a passable opposite dark type, and of course having Dialga, which is like it's not a great steal, but it's a good steal. I feel like I kind of get around that. So I got Moltres because I needed more removal at that point. I needed more pivot, and overall just it does a lot for the team. It's a surprisingly strong mon. A lot of people sleep on this offensive capabilities, but honestly, offensive Moltres has nothing to sleep on, of course, but defensive is its best set because Flame Body is very funny. Especially when you're facing like Koraidon, which if you can burn that thing, you can cripple it so much. Which personally, I really like the thought of that. But it's just a good mod in general. It's a good pivot. It's just a good removal. It's a good defensive backbone. It just has the surprise offensive set that can really catch an opponent off guard. Which some games it could really have the match for. I haven't looked at many of the teams yet because it is still Grace. But I feel like it could have a matchup or two that it can honestly really destroy, and I like that about this mod, that it could have that little surprise factor. So heading into my next pick, I'm pretty sure I know what it is, but like I said, at this point the part where I start making transactions, so the picks are kind of out of order. So for my next mod, yep, that is going to be Teddy, our Blastoise. He's actually our first Terra Captain. I don't know if I explained Terra Captains earlier. Terra Captains are, you can get 1 to 2 Terra Captains. They cannot be Ubers when you have 20 combined points. So like if you pick a 15-point Terra Captain, you can pick a 5-point Terra Captain. 5-point or below Terra Captain. But you can't Terra an Uber. So we had things like Spectrier were 18 points because they're only Ubers with Terra, but of course Terra was banned on Ubers. But Blastoise is the Terra Captain. Now why is Blastoise the Terra Captain? Because first of all, I don't really have the greatest Terra Captain options. I have one other Terra Captain who's like a really good Terra Captain. But Blastoise is a situational Terra Captain because Terrasilize with Shell Smash can honestly be surprisingly good. But of course, it's good defense, especially compared with Sylveon to help it heal, get it more slack of recovery. It's just a good pivot, it's a good remover, and of course it's got the offensive sets. And Shell Smash with Terrasilize can be really good. Being able to change up its type as a defensive mod with Terrasilize can also really help me in some situations where I really want to bait a certain move to try to Toxic something or just to try to kill it with another move. So it's got a lot of versatility, surprisingly, with its Terra. I feel like it's a pretty sleeper Terra Captain pick because being able to Terra to something like an electric type or a grass type can help it break through bulky waters, which have otherwise been a problem for its Shell Smash sets. So it just adds more depth to its sets that were originally very situational sets. So it's kind of brought its most deadly set, made its most deadly set even deadlier. And I feel like that's what I really liked about picking this up. So for our next pick, I believe this one was also a mod that was originally dropped and picked up because Blastoise was never dropped. Blastoise was an original pick, and that is going to be Porygon 2. Yeah, Porygon 2 was picked up, I believe, originally in this place. I had a Clodsire. Now I know I really hated to drop Clodsire. It's such a funny mon, but it's unfortunately it wasn't working. Like that's all I would say about it. The mon wasn't working on my team, so I just picked up the best mon ever. We have you, our Porygon 2, because it's an absolute Chad. So if you get that and you get that, it's the best mon ever. I don't know what else to say about it. It's just got insane bulk, teleport, pull, trick room options. It's good. Surprisingly, be good to catch things off guard, especially in the very fast, like very sped crept Ubers meta that is in this generation. So I feel like it's just got a lot of versatility like that. And it's Porygon 2. If you've never faced this mon, if you've never used this mon, use it. It's just really good. Like I say, it's the best mon ever. I believe it's Rule 12 or Rule 13, something like that. I don't know. There's like a bunch of rules in Draft League, and one of them is that Porygon 2 is the best mon ever, which it is. So for my 10th pick, we'll check out what that is. If that is Donphan, it's gonna be Ryuji, our Donphan. Now this was originally a Bascu Legion male, and no, I dropped Bascu Legion male, but the problem with it is it wasn't working for me. I really wanted to use it. It looked like it was so much fun, but I ended up dropping it because I couldn't just fit it on a plan. Like it was kind of just like I had 90 points left over, so I just threw it on there. And it was kind of like it was always on the chopping block to get traded. Everything after picking up Sylveon You know, everything I had to pick up Dialga was kind of on the chopping block. And after that, I really could have cut at that point. That was where it had to be reworked. But Donphan, it's really good. It's just good removal, good physical defense, good. Like, it's a knockoff user. I think it's actually my only knockoff user on the team. But better to have one than have absolutely none, especially because it's a really good knockoff user. I definitely was kind of one of my bread and butter mons. Even like back when I played a lot more, it was always one of those mons that I love to draft just because it fixes the problems of Hazard's removal and the ground type, which really helps a lot for this team because I didn't want to force rocks and Dialga every week, and thankfully Donphan kind of makes it so that I don't have to do that. So I'm really happy to have this mon on the team. Now the last pick, I know what mon my last pick is. It's our definitive Terra Captain on the team. Our Blastoise is a situational Terra Captain. This is the definitive Terra Captain. This will be the one that'll mainly be terastallizing every single week. And that's going to be Toxtricity. That's going to be Makoto, our Toxtricity. Now, Toxtricity is a very good Terra Captain. For people who don't know what this thing does, it's that it clicks Terra Normal and it clicks Boom Burst, and it just kills things. That's what it does. That's 75 speed's actually really good with Trick Room in this meta, so P2 pairs perfectly with it. The slow momentum also helps us to get it. It just kills so many things with Stab Boom Burst that like it's not even funny what it does. Well, it is funny. Funny for me, not for my opponents. It'll be a nightmare prep. I feel like it was like disgustingly underpriced at only 10 points. For this thing with potential being terastallized, I feel like it should have been a bit higher. It's absolutely insane, and I'm really excited to use this thing. But yeah, that's my entire draft for LPL. It's not amazing, but I feel like I really made it work with what I had like originally. So Toxtricity was originally a Rotom fan. So I think that I was able to severely upgrade the team from what I used to have. I'm a lot more happy with this team, and I feel like it's going to be the team we're going to go for the entire season. Of course, drops are still a thing, but I kind of feel like I'm satisfied with this team. Like, if something way better gets dropped and I feel like I can fit it onto the plan, I'll fit it, but it's kind of just where it's good as it is. I can use this team and I feel like I can do good with it. So we'll see what happens this season. I'm gonna try to record as much of the season as I can, but we'll see what we already know my upload schedules. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, I'm back in Draft League, so it's good to be back. This is probably my only Draft League right now, though, as I don't really intend to join a lot of Draft Leagues anymore. Just simply, I don't want to. I don't want to spend a bunch of time on this stuff anymore like I used to. But I think it's still going to be fun to come back and just, you know, have fun with it. I'm not going to try very hard in this league. You're not going to see me trying really that hard. I'm just going to try to provide interesting content and just be able just to have fun out there. I don't want to, like, that's one thing I feel like I lost when I quit Mons. Was kind of, I lost having fun in the game. It just became too competitive. I think that spawned from joining leagues like BBL, which were very competitive leagues. And just, like, once Mons becomes more about your competition than it does about just having fun, I feel like you really lose the passion for the game. And that's exactly what happened with me. So I'm happy to be back in a league where I really don't have to try. It's LPL. I'll get like 4 forfeit wins anyways. This is we call it LGL for a reason. But yeah, that's the team. Let me know what you guys think about it, and signing off, I guess.